Welcome to the Red Diamond Report podcast. I'm your host, Wilton Jackson, and today we have another great guest by the name of Mike Patton. Mike, it's good to have you on the show, man.
Man, it's great to be here. Great to chat with you again. You know, we bumped into each other a few different places over the years, right?
Right. Like from NABJ, the Black Sports Business Symposium, Southern Heritage Classic, which, that won't be happening this year, which I hate. But don't tell Tennessee State and Jackson State fans that. But no, like we've seen each other on different occasions, man. I'm really glad to have you on the show. And before we get started, I want you to just kind of tell my listeners and viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Of course, you know, obviously I'm Mike Patton, not the other Mike Patton of what is the rock band. But we had a lot of people come at me on Twitter and think I'm him, and they literally send me music, and I'm like, I'm not him. You know, I'm black. He's white. But yeah, that happens a lot. But as far as what I do, I'm actually a freelance journalist, and I am the host and producer of Touring the AFC South, which is a podcast that features the Titans, the Texans, the Colts, and the Jaguars. Yes, I'm talking about them every single week, and I bring a rotation of guests that either you know or you need to know every single week, 2 episodes a week. Definitely that's what I do, as well as freelance journalism for a myriad of different places like the Nashville Voice. I've done stuff for the Tennessee Tribune, and I also do sports history in black for the NABJ website too.
And Mike, we're gonna dive into it right away. I've had the opportunity. You've invited me to be a guest on your podcast on Touring the AFC South. If there's any guy who knows more about the AFC South, especially the Tennessee Titans, it's Mike Patton. So, Mike, I want to ask you this, man. Titans, every year I feel like I want to inch closer and say, you know what, the Titans are the team of the AFC South. And then I have my doubts as it gets closer to the season, and then I'll snap back into it by midways throughout the season. I want to ask you this starting off specifically this year. Is Ryan Tannehill still the guy?
Well, he's going to have to be honest. The other 2 guys aren't ready. To be honest, they're still learning and growing, and at this point, Ryan Tannehill gives them the best chance to win. So yes, by default, he is still the guy. They don't have a guy that's ready yet to take over that spot.
Do you think at any point next season, if things don't go as planned, if you had to take your chances, would you go Malik Willis or would you go the other option?
Well, right now, I'd take Malik Willis. Just to be honest, in camp right now, Malik Willis looks better than he did last year. Let me just give everyone a kind of a quick synopsis.
For sure.
Malik Willis wasn't necessarily a guy that, he came from a one-read offense at Liberty, going into the NFL where you got to have multiple reads. So obviously there's an adjustment period. With that adjustment period, you have, mistakes happen. Plus, he's still trying to get his throwing motion down because it's different than what would be the NFL than, college, of course. And, they want it more maybe compact and quicker and decisive, I guess.
Right.
So, through the year, he got it better at those different things. You didn't quite see it in the games, of course, obviously, because, they give him a limited playbook, except for the first half of the Kansas City game. But this offseason, he just got a little bit more comfortable. They're picking up a little bit more of the tempo under Coach Kelly, who is the offensive coordinator. And he just seems like he's just more comfortable being a professional out there. Will Levis, he may be talented, but he's not ready yet either. So it's almost like Malik Willis is a step ahead and Will Levis is in the same spot that Malik Willis was in last season. So that's what it kind of seems like. So if anything, I would take Malik Willis if, you had to make that choice right now.
I wanted to get into this, though, as well, because between, of course, quarterback situation, Tannehill, the wide receiver position, also the offensive line. Are you satisfied currently with where Tennessee is in regards to the offensive line moving into the next season?
Honestly, I am. If you look at the offensive line last year, Tannehill could not drop back and feel comfortable dropping back because, of course, he was under heat at all times. I'm not going to mention a particular gentleman that played offensive tackle because plenty have mentioned him and plenty have mentioned that he was, getting ran by like a turnstile. He's playing in Arizona now, so we ain't got to worry about him. Right. If you want to know who he is, just watch the tape from last year. He stands out. As far as Taylor Lewan, he's retired and he was injured a lot last year. So you replace those two guys with a rookie in Peter Skoronski, potentially a rookie in Peter Skoronski, which he could be bumped down a guard, which has been talked about. And you have Andre Dillard, who they brought over from the Eagles, who was actually a tight end when he came out of college. And he actually grew into an offensive tackle. So you already know he's got good feet right there. So that's two upgrades right there. And, just by a factor of you have a guy that's probably going to be healthier on both sides of the ball of your offensive line. Then you bring in Brunskill, Daniel Brunskill from the 49ers, which, one of the best running football teams in the NFL. So you bring him in, you bring those two guys in. It just gives you a lot more aggression, a lot more athleticism, in my opinion. You still have Petit Ferreira, who played on the line last year for the Titans too. You could probably bump him in the guard on one side too. And then to me, it's a much better offensive line because you have some veteran skill in there, you have some athleticism, and you have some just flat out nasty guys that they're bringing in. Dillard, I haven't quite seen the nastiness there because that's obviously because he had to play the whole ton. But the other guys, I've seen it at the college level for Skoronski, and I've definitely seen it at the pro level for Brunskill.
I definitely think my eyes definitely going to be on Skoronski next year for sure, because I think he could be a big piece to that offensive line, like huge piece, more than people are probably giving him credit for.
Definitely. And the thing that with him is, if you listen to his opening press conference, he talked about he would like nothing better than to run the ball down the football field and just basically move someone against their will the entire time down the field. Now, that right there had Rand Carthen and Mike Vrabel probably cheesing from ear to ear.
Oh, absolutely.
And it had Titans fans probably ready to get up and cheer right then and there, because the previous year, last year, they didn't see any of that at all from, again, a gentleman who will not be named. Titans fans are not coming for me with that guy's name. I'm not mentioning it.
Yeah, no. I probably wouldn't mention it either. Looking at the Titans in the rest of the AFC South, the Jaguars, they aren't going anywhere. We saw what Trevor Lawrence did. Personally, as I saw the Jaguars continuing to grow and pile on wins, I'm thinking like, okay, the Jaguars not making the playoffs. This luck, whatever it is gonna like dissipate. Like it's not gonna continue. But you're looking at them. You're looking at the Colts. And personally, in my opinion, sorry for the Colts fans that's out there, I don't see them making much noise next year. And then I look at the Texans though, with head coach and D'Amico Ryan. Intriguing. I won't necessarily say they'll be great or exceptional or really super good, but they're intriguing just based off the fact of D'Amico Ryan as coach and some of the pieces that they have. Obviously, you have a rookie quarterback coming in, but where do you see after the Titans? Because I personally put the Titans as still the team to win that division. But after the Titans, who do you put at 2 and 3 and 4 for that matter?
Well, I will say this. You have a lot more faith in the Titans than a lot of people do. I'm not saying the Titans can't win the division. That's not me. I'm just saying generally what I've heard, a lot of people are not picking the Titans. A lot of people are picking the Titans to be like third in the division, which I'm like shocked by. But, wow. That's just what I'm hearing. But it shocks me. But, if we're going to go by what you were saying in terms of the Titans being it, then after that, it's got to be Jacksonville. Jacksonville has the best collection of talent. And honestly, I think Jacksonville has the best chance of winning this division if they play like they played last year towards the end of the season. They have the best collection of talent. They replaced Marvin Jones Sr. with Calvin Ridley. Wow. Is all I can say for that one.
Yeah.
Then you bring back Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. You bring back Zay Jones, a.k.a. Bruce Leroy. That's what I call him. Take a look at this picture. It'll tell you all the things you need to see.
That's a good comparison.
And then you've got just all the weapons they have, and you got the biggest thing for them is defensively, can they rush the passer?
Yeah.
And who's going to play the corner opposite of Tyson Campbell? They can figure those things out. Jacksonville might have a special season down there, and then of course after them, I'll go with the Texans. Yeah. I'll go with the Texans because CJ Stroud, I think they've surrounded him with some players that can actually make some plays. I'm not to say Robert Woods is, the greatest playmaker in the world at the age he is, but he still can make some things happen provided they use him correctly. That would be the slot, for those that don't know. But, they do have a few other weapons as well. Tank Dell from Houston, that he definitely is a guy that's got speed to burn. As long as also they have a wide receiver from Houston that they drafted as well. And then you got Schultz that they brought over at tight end from the Dallas Cowboys, which gives him some weapons, a security blanket in Schultz to actually make some things happen along with the running game. Obviously, that showed up last year, surprisingly for a lot of people. Defensively will be the key, though. You got Jimmy Ward they brought over from the 49ers.
Yep, that was a big addition.
You have a very big addition because they needed another safety to go with Petrie, along with a veteran that actually can show them how to win and run this defense. Exactly. Of D'Amico Ryans. So, they could actually surprise some people. And honestly, I think they could potentially put it together to make a run for the AFC South crown this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I knew I wasn't crazy when I said that, because some people will look at me and say, Wilton, you think the Texans are intriguing? I'm thinking yeah, like I said, I know I based that off of, the pieces that they brought in and things like that. And of course, my respect for Coach D'Amico Ryan. But I'm like, when you really look at what they're assembling, they are intriguing. I won't put them as the division winners, but I'll definitely say they have if they can put it together, like you just mentioned, they have a chance.
Right. And then, of course, that leaves the Colts. But I'll say this about the Colts. The Colts aren't going to be just bad. They're going to be figuring some things out to start the season. But as the season goes on, I think Anthony Richardson gets better. Yeah. And I think towards the end of the season, you start seeing glimpses of what you're going to see in the 2024 season.
What would you consider the three biggest off-season moves in the NFL?
Well, one of them's got to be Aaron Rodgers. I know people don't want to hear that, but hey, it is, because the Jets, they kept saying, if we only got a quarterback, you kept hearing that over and over and over again. So, that's a huge move that happened. As far as any other moves, you got Hargraves, who leaves the Eagles to go play for the San Francisco 49ers. They're an even tougher defense now with one of the best defensive tackles in football. So imagine now you got Bosa and Hargraves on one side.
If I'm a quarterback,
whoever on the other side. You got Fred Warner, and you've got Fred Warner in the middle of that defense. I mean, you still have solid corners there. I mean, that defense is just going to be nastier with the addition of Hargraves.
Yeah.
And as far as another addition I can think of, trying to think around. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of any, but a lot of them happen on trades. Things I was looking at, but trying to think.
Or
I'll say this. I'll say this one just for the impact of having veteran wide receivers. Mm-hmm. Carolina Panthers adding in the two veteran wide receivers. You got DJ Chark from the Detroit Lions.
Right.
And then you also brought in, Adam, was it Thielen? Thielen. I'm sorry. Yeah. Adam Thielen from the Vikings. You bring in two veteran wide receivers to actually help your quarterback grow and mature. Now, I'm not saying they're the biggest moves ever, but I can say for the impact alone, having veteran wide receivers to throw to make you comfortable and make your number one quarterback comfortable as a rookie, that was a great move by the Carolina Panthers.
It was. And you're speaking of the NFC South, man. So, obviously as a journalist looking at things objectively, but I'm going to step into the fan side really quick. I was so glad when the Saints got Derek Carr. I was so glad. I said, you know what? No disrespect to Taysom Hill. No disrespect to Jameis Winston. I've been watching Saints football since I was about 6 or 7 years old. So we're going back all the way back to like Aaron Brooks. We're talking, all those years of like 7-9 and 6-10. And I can remember sitting with my dad talking like, okay, well, they're gonna win this 7th game when they're gonna finish 8-8 and go to the playoffs. And then of course, thank the Lord for Drew Brees. But now you get a Derek Carr and with the weapons that the Saints have, and hopefully We get a revamped version of Alvin Kamara on the offensive side of the ball. I like the Saints' chances going into this year. Now, granted, Derek Carr is definitely not Drew Brees. He's not, but he's much better than the options we've had in previous years.
I'll give you that, definitely. But, the great equalizer in all this is the guy on the sideline. That would be Mr. Dennis Allen. Mr. Dennis Allen has never won as a head coach. So, in my opinion, that kind of negates a little bit of it. But you do have Kamara. You do have, hopefully, a healthy Michael Thomas for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully. You do have a few other weapons. One of my favorite wide receivers, kind of Ohio State last year, who I said was going to be the rookie of the year, is playing on that team. Yeah. So, I definitely like the weapons that they have. I just don't like the coach. So that's why I'm like, I don't know because of the coach. But then again, I mean, the NFC South is pretty wide open this year.
Oh, it is.
And I can actually make a case for Atlanta actually winning the NFC South. You actually can. I mean, that's not that shocking.
It's not because it's wide open, but you're right. I have.
Yeah, I know that's not popular. I know it's not popular with Saints fans, but I'm just saying.
No, it's not. But coming from an unbiased standpoint, because the division is so open, it is possible.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, those the AFC South and the NFC South see each other this year. That's just going to be fun too, because the Saints open up the season playing against the Titans.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a good game to watch for sure. I know I'll be tuned in. I know you will be as well. I want to switch gears real quick. We're going to switch to the NBA. Nikola Jokić, the Nuggets, they've won an NBA title, first in franchise history. If you had to gauge and put Nikola Jokić amongst the top players in the NBA right now, where would you put him?
Oh, he's no lower than 3. No lower than 3. I mean, he's not number 3. Just put it that way. So, to me, honestly, I got to put him as probably the best player in the NBA. I mean, you go into the NBA Finals and you average more points, assists, rebounds than anybody else on the team. You basically control the game as a point center. You can't jump higher than a phone book, but yet you're putting teams in a torture chamber every single game, from passing, shooting. I mean, I still remember the game that Anthony Davis had him locked up. He shoots the ball from behind his head.
Yep.
And banks it. He banks it in. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, yeah, that's a bad man right there.
I'm like Anthony Davis. I'm thinking like, there's nothing that I could have done for that.
Right. I mean, you've got to put him up there. You got to put Giannis up there. Or Giannis, I'm sorry. I'm throwing Giannis I messed his name up. But anyway, Giannis, you got to throw Giannis up there. You got to throw Embiid up there. I mean, those 3 you have to put in there. And, I know I'm going to sound a little biased, but I've been a fan of his since he joined the Bulls. That would be Jimmy Butler. So I got to put Jimmy Butler around there somewhere. I know folks are going to give me flack about that, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm just going to shrug my shoulders about it. It is what it is.
When you look at him now, based off them losing the finals, getting back to the finals, losing in the finals, how do you look at his legacy now?
I mean, he's already won, to be honest. If you want to, ask me, he's a guy that basically got kicked out of his house by his mom, messed around, was playing basketball, had no recruitments, ended up going to junior college, really didn't have much going out of that, ends up at Marquette, and he's basically worked and willed himself into being one of the top players in the NBA. Right. Now, he's had a difficult journey along the way where he's bumped heads with people because, hey, he wants to win.
Right.
But he just didn't know how to necessarily express that. Like when he went to Miami, that was probably the best thing for him because they kind of match what he wants to do. He's kind of like embodies what Pat Riley talks about when wanting to win as bad as your last breath. Remember when that magical story where Pat Riley dumped his head in a bucket of water and basically held his head up under there until he's like, you got to want to win as much as you want your last breath. So I think Jimmy is that type of player. And it just, that's what I see his legacy as being. He's a guy that basically willed himself to be one of the best players in the NBA.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you this, man. This kind of goes a little bit beyond just sports here. You're a black father, and not only that, you're a girl dad. How do you navigate that, and especially with being in the space and dealing with sports? Because we've seen so many, like, athletes in sports that have daughters and things of that nature. How do you manage and how do you navigate the space of being a successful black father and a girl dad?
Honestly, I do these things, and she sees all the things that I do. She actually looks up my show on YouTube and listens to it. It's like, hey, that's my dad. That's my dad. She's like, I think she like showed it to one of her friends one time. But I want to be a positive reflection of what a black man is to her, kind of show that to her. Now I do have my faults, and I still I'm striving to get better every single day.
Sure.
But I try to be that for her. And then also with my show, a lot of people may miss this, but if you kind of pay attention to it, I do bring a lot of black women on my show.
You do.
That's for a reason. That's for a reason is
I
because
definitely noticed that.
yeah, definitely. And the reason why I do that is because I want her to see examples of black women and successful black women, doing their thing, not taking whatever from anybody. And of course, my show is a safe place for black women anyway. That's always going to be that for as long as I have a show, and
Right.
I will not take the disrespect of black women. I just won't have it on my show, because if you do it on my show, I'm gonna turn off the show.
Right.
But I just want my show to be a reflection of love for black women, support for black women, and just being a place where they can come and you know basically talk about things they want to talk about in sports and not feel like somebody is judging them or feeling a certain way about them. So I kind of had that spot produced so that way my daughter can see all these different things besides her mom, of course. And be able to be like, I can do that, I can do this, I can do this. And we always we always have one thing we do before we get out of before she goes to school.
Mm-hmm.
We always quote Philippians 4:13 before she gets out of the car every morning. We always quote that, and I always tell her, hey, you can do anything you want to do, and daddy will always be there to support you. Whatever it is, will always be there to support you. So it's very key to me to kind of give her that love and that support and always be there for her and kind of provide her and show her things where, hey, this woman's being successful doing this. This woman's being successful doing this, and this, and kind of show her those different things so she can feel like she can do all those different things too, and maybe do it better. You never know.
Absolutely. And that's powerful, man, because like I said, I don't have kids now, but the people that I see, specifically black fathers who do have daughters, they sound very similar to you. They, especially in a society where it's already hard just for black men in general. When you have kids and especially a black daughter, I mean, it's just like, it's almost like, how can I describe it? It's almost like it's sometimes it's even harder to be a black father to a daughter versus being a black father to a black man, to a black son.
Well, I would say this. I can't really speak to being, the father of a black son, but one thing I will say is that when you have a child in general, it changes you. It
Yeah.
definitely changes you. Your sense of responsibility goes up a whole nother notch. And you think a little bit more about all the things that you do in your life, way more than you did when you were not a father, because you're responsible for that life there and producing a great, wonderful human being that contributes to society and also knows who they are and whose they are while they're growing up in this society. So that kind of ups your awareness, your sense of being and things like that, because you're responsible for what this little being sees and grows up into.
Yeah, I gotta ask you this fun question, man. So I like to travel different places. I've been to Nashville a couple times before. Haven't had a chance to really like dive into the city.
Mm-hmm.
I had a late aunt and like a slew of cousins that lived in Nashville. They still live in Nashville. They always talk about the food, the iconic places to Nashville. If you had to tell me and my listeners the top three places to eat in Nashville, what would you say?
All right, here we go. We're gonna stick in let's see, I think all three of these places are in North Nashville too, they originated. Anyway, we'll go off of that. But anyway, first place I take you to is Slim and Huskies. That's Slim and Huskies Pizzeria.
Mm-hmm.
That place right there, they basically built the pizza, they basically built it up in the story of, their ingredients and all their recipes, all that stuff, they're all uniquely to them. And that was born and started in Nashville. Now you can find them in Atlanta, you can find them in Chattanooga, Memphis, you can even find them in Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
But they originated in Nashville, Tennessee on Buchanan Street. That's where the original store was. Man, line used to be out the door when they first started. Now they got like 5 locations here, including one on 5th and Broadway, by the way, which is downtown Nashville. So yeah, you got to go there. Slim and Husky Pizzeria. Yeah, the pizza is excellent. Excellent. I put it up against New York, Chicago, all them pizzas. I put it up against that.
That's a big statement.
Yeah, I do. I put it up against that. I got to roll with the home team. Let's see. As far as the next one, I would say Prince's Hot Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the story of how Prince's Hot Chicken started would lead you to believe that this was a bad product, because Prince's Hot Chicken was actually, I believe he was either cheating or doing something. And she made this recipe of hot chicken to like really, get him back. But he actually ended up liking it. So that's how Prince's Hot Chicken was born. And yeah, Prince's Hot Chicken. Now you can, go to different spices and things like that. You can go to the hot, or you can go to the, the regular, but they've got a couple locations. One out Nolensville Pike, which is out near closer to me. And then 5th and Broadway there's one in 5th and Broadway too. So there's a Slim and Huskies, and there's a Prince's Hot Chicken actually in there too. So there's 2 places. There's 2 places on 5th and Broadway. The next one, they're not on 5th and Broadway, but they are in North Nashville. They're not actually far from Tennessee State University, actually. That would be Rhythm and Spice. Rhythm and Spice. Woo! Yes, you need to go there. I'm telling you, man, that food right there. Bomb.
Will it make you take a nap on a Sunday after church?
Yes, it will. It's enough food to make you take a nap, wake up, eat some more, and then go. But I do have to say that. But one place I do have to throw in there too is H&T's. H&T's Home Cooking. They're actually one of the sponsors of my show. But I've been going there I go there like almost every Sunday. Yeah, pretty much. I go there. I get I get turkey and dressing. Let's see what I get: macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes, or greens or cabbage. I'm sorry, one of the 2. And then of course got to get that caramel cake to go with it. So yeah, all that on a Sunday. Yeah,
that sounds like a lovely meal.
Man, the itis is real, because it's nap time in the house after that.
No, for sure. This is great, man. Well, Mike, where can my listeners and followers reach out to you and stay connected with you with everything you have going on, and then any other additional projects that you might be working on?
Well, you can find me on Twitter. That's at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82 on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, of course. That's THA, not THE, _general_MP. And of course, touring the AFC South. You can find that on all listening platforms at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio, you name it, we are there, as well as on YouTube. So if you want to watch the show with all the commercials and everything, yeah, you can watch it there too. Right. That's usually 2 times a week. And as far as, I guess, everything I'm working on, I'm working on a few other short stories type of things, kind of something outside of sports right now.
Okay.
Not working on any music. No, I'm not a musician, but but no, I am working on a few other things. Working on getting a few other guests, maybe a guest that a lot of people know, potentially. But working on a few things there, and just trying to keep things rolling and going with touring the AFC South.
Well, Mike, I want to say thank you again. Thank you for coming on the show, and keep up the good work, man. Like I said, my listeners, Mike Patton, host of the Touring of the AFC South podcast. He has a great podcast. He's doing a lot of great work. Mike, I really, really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. Any time coming on with you or anyone else, I greatly appreciate it, and I don't take those opportunities for granted.
Stay tuned for the next episode of the Red Diamond Report podcast. Until then, make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at the RDR Report, and follow me on Twitter at Wilton Reports, and on Instagram at Wilton Reports _.